Welcome to math video number 13. Today we're going to be learning about SOL 4.5a and b. And it's basically when you begin to start adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators. And in order to do this, you need to know how to find the least common multiple and the greatest common factor. So we're going to be practicing these skills today. So let's look at both of these words. What are the difference between factors and multiples? Well, factors are what you've been learning for several years now, all about the math facts. So when you have any two numbers that you multiply together, you get an answer, right? So the factors are what you're multiplying, and the answer is called the product. So an example would be 2 times 3 equals 6. So the 2 and the 3 are factors of 6. So if someone were to ask you, what are factors of 6? You could say 2 and 3. Okay, so now also the reciprocal is true, which is the division. So if you divide a product by a factor, you'll get the other factor always with the remainder of 0. If you have any kind of a remainder, then it's not a true factor. You want a smooth division. So our example, 6 divided by 2 would equal 3 with the remainder of 0. So 3 and 2 are factors of 6. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look at multiples. Multiples are the product of a number and any whole number. Okay, so let's look at the number 6 again. What are multiples of 6? That's when you just start multiplying and kind of doing skip counting. 6 times 1, 6 times 2. If you counted by 6, then you would get all the multiples of 6. So these two would be considered multiples of 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and just take another example and look at the number 8. So if someone were to ask you, what are the factors of 8? You would think to yourself, what two numbers can I multiply together to equal 8? I know I could say 1 times 8. Can you think of any others? 2 times 4 equals 8. And that's all, right? So the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay, so now the multiples, you're just going to start multiplying or doing your skip counting. Okay, so 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3, and this list goes on and on forever. Factors are just a short list. Multiples go on and on forever. So the multiples of 8, you could just keep writing them and writing them and writing them. Okay, so now sometimes kids get a little bit stuck on this and can't remember when they're asked to find factors. They get these two interchanged in their mind. So I'm going to try to help you. So if you were to look at factors and see that it starts with an F, I want you to think of the word few. There's only a few factors for each number. And for multiples, I want you to think of the word many. There's many because it goes on and on and on. Another thing I want you to notice is that for factors, they're always going to be equal to or less than the number. So if you're trying to find the factors of 8, it's always going to be 8 or less. But for multiples, they're going to be equal to or greater than the number. So it's always going to be 8 and more. Okay, so let's start by looking at factors. And I'm going to show you two strategies that you can use to find factors. One is kind of artsy, factor rainbows. Ooh, a lot of kids like doing factor rainbows. It's a little bit fun and artsy, and it feels a little bit less like math when you add colors. So if we were to find the factors for 12 using a factor rainbow, then you could use colors if you have them handy, or just use, your pencil, and you would make an arc and think, okay, I can say 1 times 12 equals 12. Are there any others? 2, yeah. Okay, 2 times 6 equals 12. Can you think of any other factors of 12? Should I make another arc? Yes, look, 3 times 4 equals 12. And that's all. Now you'll notice here that these two digits are very close together, aren't they? And that's when you know you're almost to the end of your factor list. Okay, so let's look at a different number now. They're all going to be different. So 7, okay, I'm going to make an arc. I'm going to say 1 times 7. Are there any other ones? Can you think of any other ones? You're right, there's not any other numbers. That's it. So 7 is a special number called a prime number. If you ever see a number where there's only two factors, one in itself, it's called a prime number. And you're going to need to work with prime numbers in the older math courses. But for now, just know that it means that you only have those two factors, one in itself. Okay, another method for finding factors is just a factor T-chart. My daughter Ella likes to use this method, probably because it's just a little bit quicker. So you have 12 and you make a T. And then you just start writing the factors on either side. So 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, and then you're finished. Now, a lot of times when you are solving problems, what you really are being asked to do is find common factors. So you're going to look at two numbers and find the factors that they have in common. Or you're going to look at 2 or 3 numbers and find the multiples that they have in common. So I want you to try to remember which is which now. So factors, think few. So there's only going to be a few of these. So let's take two numbers, 5 and 20. We're going to make our T-charts and find the common factors. So for 5, I could say 1 times 5. That's it, right? Okay, so let's go to 20. 1 times 20. Can you think of any other factors for 20? Okay, 2 times 10. 3, no, 4, oh yeah, 4 times 5. There we go, good job. So now we just need to find the ones that they have in common. So you look at both of the lists. Okay, yeah, these both have a 1. Oh yeah, they both have a 5. So these are the numbers that they have in common. Now, almost always, what you're going to actually look for is the greatest common factor. So we want the biggest number that they have in common. And the fancy acronym for that is GCF. That means they want to know which one is the biggest that they have in common. And for this, it's going to be 5, right? All right. So now let's go ahead and just find the common multiples for these two numbers. So remember, multiples, many. They're going to have many multiples, meaning it goes on and on and on forever, but we're just going to find a few. Okay, so we're going to start with 5 and 20, and we're just going to start making the multiples. Because remember, we just need to find a few that they have in common. They would have many in common, but usually for multiples, you want to find the smallest one that they have in common. So let's take a look and see on this list. I see 20. They both have a 20. And then you can usually stop as soon as you find the smallest one that they have in common, because what they really want you to find is the least common multiple. And so for this, it would be 20. Do you notice the difference? For factors, they want you to find the biggest one that they have in common. And for multiples, they want you to find the smallest one that they have in common. Try to remember that. Okay, so we're going to practice an SOL released question. This means this question used to be on the SOL, and that means you're most likely going to find something very similar on your SOL. Okay, now usually when people see the word SOL, they get no, no. They get scared and they don't want to even practice those because they get nervous. But I'm just here to tell you that we're going to take this one step at a time and we're going to do it together and it's all good. Okay? So let's go ahead and find what is the least common multiple of 8 and 12. All right, so we have 8 and 12 here. We're going to find the least common multiple. Which one is that? Oh, that's right, the M for many. Okay, so it could be a very, very long list, but I'll just do a handful of them. Okay, so for 8, I'll stop there. You just start writing 8 times 1, 8 times 2, 8 times 3. Okay, and then for 12, just make a short list there. And now we want to find the ones that they have in common. So I see 24, and I also see 48. They would have more in common if I made the list longer. But look, they only want to know what's the least common. So the smallest one that they have in common, right? Okay, so if we look at our list, it's obviously the 24. All right. Great job. So we don't need to be afraid of questions like this. We can do it just one step at a time. So the answer for this is 24. All right, so now it's your turn to try to do one all by yourself. What is the least common multiple of 3, 6, and 12? Okay, so let's go ahead and practice another one together. Okay, so I'm not as nervous as I was the first one because I saw that we could do it. We just have to take it one step at a time, right? Okay, so let's think about this. Which number is a common factor of 15, 18, and 30? Okay, so now my mind is drawing a blank. Which one is this common factor? I'm gonna look at that F and think, okay, yeah, just a few of them. Got it. I need to do that T-chart. Okay, so let's make a T-chart for each of these numbers and just start finding the factors. Which two numbers can I multiply together? We're finding the pieces that make these numbers. So 1 times 15. Can you think of the next one? There's only one more set. That's right. 3 times 5 is 15. Good job. Okay, let's start on 18. We always know 1 times itself is always going to be there. Any others? Yep, 2 times 9. 3 times, oh yeah, 3 times 6. 4, 5, nope, that's it. Okay, so let's go on to 30. 1 times itself, 1 times 30 is always going to be there. 2 times, yep, 2 times 15. 3, yeah, 3 times 30. Am I finished? No, I'm not finished. 5 times 6 is also equal to 30. Okay, so here's my list. This is it. We're finished with the lists. Now all we need to do is find which ones they have in common. Wow, this isn't so hard, huh? Okay, so we need to find the ones they have in common, which are the ones. What else do they have in common? Do you see any others? Yeah, there you go, the 3. Any others? Here's a 6 and a 6, but not over here. Here's a 15 and a 15, but not any over here. I think we're done. That's it. Okay, so that we have the answers to these. Which numbers are the common factors of 15, 18, and 30? It's 1 and 3. But what if they asked you what is the greatest common factor? Remember? What would it be? That's right. It would be 3. You guys got it. Good job. Okay, we can do this one step at a time, right? Now it's your turn. Can you find the greatest common factor of 36 and 27? Okay, we're going to go ahead and practice one more together. Okay, so now I'm not scared of these SOL problems because I know that we could just take it one step at a time, right? We got this. Okay, so what is the difference between 5/12 and 1/4? Okay. So, do you see any key words in this problem? To know what we're supposed to even do with these fractions, what's a key word that you see? There it is, it's difference. That tells me I'm going to be subtracting, right? Okay, so I'm going to subtract 5/12 and 1/4. Oh no, there's a problem. In order to add or subtract fractions, the denominators must be the same. And look, these are not the same. Ugh, we can't do it, right? No worries. Remember, just one step at a time. So step 1 is simply make them the same. And guess what? You know how to do that because you already know one of the skills that we just learned. In order to make the denominators the same, we find the multiples. We find the common multiples. And we're going to take the least common multiple and we're going to make that the denominator. So let's do this step by step together. Okay, so multiples, there's going to be many, right? It's that long list. So we're just going to start with a shorter list because we just need to find the least common or the first one that they have in common. So let's take a look. We'll do 12 times 1, 12 times 2, 12 times 3. And let's go ahead over here to the list of 4. 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3. Ooh, look at that. Do you see the common multiple? Yes. They both have a 12 as a common multiple. And that's the very first one that they have in common, so we can stop. We don't have to keep going with our list. Okay, so we're going to take our fractions and we're going to make that denominator a 12. Now, for the 12, the way it became a 12 is just to be multiplied by 1, right? So we really don't have to do anything to that fraction, but what's really happening is that I'm multiplying that fraction times 1 on the top and the bottom. But it doesn't change anything. It just makes it the same. So really, you don't have to do anything. If that denominator is already the number that you want, you can just leave it the same. But over here, we have to change this 4. So let's look. What did we do to this 4 to create a 12? We multiplied it by 3. So that means when we come over here to this fraction, we're going to need to multiply the 4 by 3. But we can't just do that. We have to do the top and the bottom because that creates an equivalent fraction. It changes the digits, but it doesn't change the value of the fraction if you multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom. So 1 times 3 and 4 times 3. Our new fraction is 3/12. Nice. Okay, so look at that. Now our denominators are the same. So we have our two new fractions, and when you are subtracting, that number just stays the same on the bottom. That's pretty easy. And you just have to subtract the numbers on the top. So the 12 stays the same, and then you would say 5 times 3. So our answer is 2/12. So let's go back to our problem. Yeah. Oh no. The answer isn't showing up as a choice. Oh goodness. I can't take it. No worries. No worries. Because you guys know what to do. We're going to simplify this fraction. And this is when we find the common factors. So that other skill that you just learned is going to be used to simplify this fraction. So we're going to make our t-charts. And we're going to start finding our factors. So for 2, it's only 1 times 2. For 12, it's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, Okay, so now for this one, let's find which ones are in common. All right, so now we need to find the greatest common factor. Which one is that? Yes, it is the 2. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're trying to make this fraction simpler, which means to make the digits smaller. And when you make digits smaller, you need to divide, right? So we're going to take this 2, and we're going to divide the top and the bottom by that digit. And this is how you simplify fractions. And when you divide 2 divided by 2, it equals 1. 12 divided by 2, it equals 6. And looky here. We found our answer. Yes, that's perfect. Okay, good job, everybody. All right, so now you get a chance to do it yourself. Your question says, what is the sum of 3/5 and 1/10? You have a different clue word. Do you remember what that clue word means? Sum. Yes, that means you're going to be adding these two fractions. And remember, to add fractions, the denominators must be the same. Do you remember how to do it? Go ahead and try to figure this one out using the tools that you know with greatest common factor, least common multiple. See if you can find the answer. Okay, we are finished with math video number 13. Now don't close this video until you click on the smiley face on the left. It's going to pop up here in a minute and you're going to let me know what you thought of the video. What do you think of fractions? Tell me. Is this easy for you? Is this still challenging? Do you need more resources? Let me know. There's going to be 2 Study Island lessons that go along with this video, and they're both due on Friday, so don't wait till the last minute to do them. And they're on factors and multiples, so you're going to get lots of practice. And you can also go to IXL anytime you want. Remember, you can do 20 questions for free every day. And remember what Michael Jordan says, I can accept failure because everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying. So put your best foot forward and give me your best effort this week in trying to figure out multiples and factors and fractions. And don't give up. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.